Welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Modern Artist. I'm your host, Luke Wynn, and my confession for today? One time, I forgot who I was. Yeah, this is my confessional. 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 I hope you guys are having a good time. We are in April, man. This year is going by so fast. I really hope that whatever goals that you guys set for yourselves, you have met them. I hope that this has been the best year of your life so far. And if not, I really pray that it gets a lot better for you. A lot of times we go through life and we kind of just go through the motions. So I hope that you guys are being intentional with your creativity, with your art, with your craft, rather than just, hoping that one day you go viral. Like, let's really be intentional about what we're doing. Today, I want to tell you guys a story, multiple stories. So my story for today, it came back to memory because a situation that happened with my son. So let me start with that story. My son, Eliel, he is extremely smart. He is super funny. And most of all, he's extremely talented. He started making beats when he was 5 years old. I got some recordings and stuff like that of him just, making beats and everything. Every time he's awake, he's singing. He's always singing. He sang some beautiful songs. And I've always noticed since the time I met him when he was 2 years old that he had a really good gift, very talented. So a couple weeks ago, he tells me that he wants to do the talent show at school. So I'm like, perfect, because I'm not saying that he's bad at sports, but I'm not getting my hopes up in the sports department, But the one thing that I do know, he is very talented, so that's something that we can focus in, and it'll be something that'll benefit him in the future. So I said, okay, let's do it. Let's start. So I started giving him some vocal warm-ups and training him. He started learning a song. We would go through practices and stuff like that. And then finally this past week, it got to the point where his audition came. And we prepared. He looked so cute. He recorded this background harmonies. I was so proud of him, man, because he's this shy kid, and for him even to be willing to go and put himself out there, it means a lot to me. And so we pushed him, and eventually he goes to the audition, and he sang 4 words, and he got a little emotional. He couldn't finish. And then he comes back home that night, and I asked him how it was, and he tells me, I sang 4 words, and then I started crying, and then the messed up part is the song continued. So he probably cried for about a minute and a half until the song was over, I'm assuming, which just makes it a funny scenario to laugh at. But obviously I wasn't laughing at him. The one thing that he said that really stood out to me, he said, he felt like a failure. And I told him, and that came to my memory, the one time in music where I felt like a failure. Obviously, I encouraged him. I let him know, there's really no such thing as failing, People who fail are people who fail to try. If you're trying and if you're working hard and you're putting your best foot forward, whether the outcome is there or not, the fact that you did it means something. So I gave him this story, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So I've talked to you guys a lot about, how I was bullied growing up and how I used to get kicked off the drums. But so after all that boring stuff, right, here I am. I'm 15, 16 years old, living in Vegas. And at this point, I am nice on the drums, okay? I am nice. I was homeschooled, so I was playing the drums like it was a full-time job, 8 hours a day. I am practicing nonstop. My dad got me some drum books. Shout out to my dad. He got me some drum books, and I was going through different pages and just killing it. I would listen to Calvin Rogers, Tony Royster Jr., gospel chops back in the day. Shout out to gospel chops. This is back before Wi-Fi, y'all. I was locked in, you guys. I was really nice, you guys. I gotta give Little Luke some props on that one. So during that season of my life, I was very competitive too. So there was another drummer in the city, Greg Hall. He was around my age. Shout out to Greg. He was also nice on the drums. I remember when I first heard him, I'm yo, that dude's nice. So a lot of times when I'd be practicing, I'd be thinking about him, like one day, like I got to face off with this dude and I'm gonna come with it. Like, so everybody can know, like, I am that guy, like in the church, I am that dude out here. So eventually I got my opportunity. And, okay, so we're at church. It's like this youth thing, like this youth conference or something like that. And I guess it was like a talent show or something, or a choir. Somehow it happened to where he was on the drums and then I was going to be on the drums. It was going to be like this little battle, this back and forth. So he went up first and everybody's like going crazy, like, go Greg, go Greg. And he starts going crazy on the drums. I'm like, wow, nothing too crazy, right? Like I still like, I know who I am, right? But, but you know how I was telling you guys about that drum book that I was practicing? So it was probably like 112 pages. At page 109, there was this Brazilian rhythm that I never could get. Like I could never get it. And then eventually I just got rid of the book. I was like, I'm good. I like how I am right now. I'm good enough. He does the exact rhythm that I knew in my heart I could not do. And as soon as I heard him do that on the drums, my confidence completely escaped me. Because now I'm like in awe of the fact that this kid's doing that. I'm like, wow, like, and this isn't the first time I've been in a drum battle. I've took L's before and everything like that, but I remember just, as soon as I saw him start doing that, I was just like in awe, right? And then in me being in awe, they say, okay, Lucas, your turn. So he gets off mid-song, and then I'm on the drums. And I get on, everybody's like cheering and stuff like that, and I completely forget how to play the drums. I completely forgot everything. So I literally just sat there and did like a double stroke roll for like 45 seconds. I hit nothing but the snare. I was just like, it's so funny because I was super shook. And it's funny because like at that moment, like I literally forgot like all the years and the hours and the time and the rudiments and, the different things that I learned, all the different chops that I learned. Everything escaped my memory because I was so focused on how good this kid was. It's almost like I valued his skill set more than I valued who I was and valued the skills that I possessed. So after that, I got off the drums and I'm pretty sure I just went into the back. I didn't cry, but I don't even know if anybody realizes because I don't know if anybody realizes the gravity of how terrible I sounded. But I was so disappointed because this is my time to prove like I'm the best in the city. And here I am doing a single stroke roll like Nick Cannon. Super funny. So anyways, so I went back home and I was like devastated, right? Because on that Sunday, I also had to play the drums again for a song. And I'm like, I was just so embarrassed. But I honestly don't remember if I told anybody about this. I don't remember any of that. I just remember the next day, 2 days later on Sunday, this song by Dorinda Clark called Take It Back, which was popping at that moment. That song is playing or that's the song I'm playing, and it's my turn to play the drums. And I'm nervous. I'm like, oh gosh, Luke, please remember how to play. Please stay on beat. Please be locked in, And I remember playing and y'all went off. Your boy went off. I killed it, you're going off when the bass player looks at you and like does them, like the organ player was looking back at me, just the whole band, and I'm this 15-year-old kid. I'm just like, doing my thing and they're all like giving me their approval. And these are like legends. They play with so many greats in the gospel community. So I remember after that day, everybody was like, Luke, that was dope. To this day, if you go to Vegas and you mention my name, they bring up that moment. They bring up that church service where I killed Take It Back. And I say all that to say, it's like a lot of times we want to dwell on our losses, but no one has ever come up to me and said, Luke, remember when you forgot how to play the drums? Remember when you messed up and Greg killed you in that drum off? No one has ever said that in 17 years. It's always, bro, you killed Take It Back, as if it was last week, and it's the dopest. It's such a comforting thing because a lot of times we're perfectionists, so we get so hung up on a loss. We get so hung up on a mistake. We get so hung up on, just a bump in the road that we can't even appreciate the good things that have happened, I feel like on each in our journey, on all of our journeys there's gonna be bumps in the road, but if you're crossing lines, if you're completing goals, if you're releasing things, if you're utilizing your craft to create something, right? To put something into the world, every time you bring those things into the world, that is a win. Whether you sell 1 million records or whether you go double wood like your boy's been going, it's always something to be proud of. I think I just realized I tried to cheat the process, and then I was exposed because the pages of the book that I never completed is because I felt like I arrived, like I was good enough. And then once you see somebody do what I knew I was incapable of doing, I got exposed. And then, but what does that make you want to do? Now you got to go back into the lab and work on those things that you cheated. A lot of times we know that and I know there's certain songs that I put out, and I know there was 5 or 6 or 7 words I didn't say right. Or I know that the mix wasn't perfect, or I knew that, the beat had a glitch here and there. But when people expose that, now you gotta own it, you gotta own it. And it sucks to own it because once you get exposed, it makes you feel a little insecure. It makes you feel weak. It makes you feel like you didn't put your best foot forward. So I think that's really what happened, where I felt like I forgot all about what I did know because he had something that I didn't know. And that was just that little chop. And going along with that, shout out to the homie Greg again. We ended up being in a Guitar Center drum off. Okay, we both took L's. And we were in the same contest. But I would say I came in second place. Pretty sure I came in second place. And the only reason why the other guy won was because he knew the judges. He was doing these magical stick tricks. But chop-wise, your boy was ready. I could not wait to see him. When I saw him at the drum off, I was like, oh. At this point, I ain't played the drums like that in years, and Greg would kill me right now. But when I was 16 in that drum off, it was slim pickings. And I don't even think it was slim pickings. I had that. It was easy. That was easy work, bro. I still don't get how I lost that. Honestly, that's actually another story because during that season, I really felt like that drum competition in 2006, 2000 and I want to say 8 or 9 when Greg was in that drum off, that's another moment where I felt like a failure because I had all the weight on my shoulders. I had all this pressure that I put onto myself. And just taking that L, it takes a lot out of you. But the one thing that I've realized about taking losses is that they're necessary because they build a different piece of who you are. It builds you up more. If you're just always winning, you're not going to know what to do better next time, And eventually I took so many L's playing the drums that I started rapping, So God has a purpose and a plan for everything. But yeah, don't forget who you are. And sometimes in those moments of failure, ask God why. Because sometimes we can be going the wrong direction and God is trying to move you a different direction, but you're stuck on what you want. And sometimes you have to let it go, Which is funny too, speaking of that, because now I'm a video guy. So I think I might be quitting rapping too. God, is that you? Either way it goes, I think all my experiences has played an integral part of who I am as a man, as a father, as a husband, as an artist. And I think don't allow those small moments to cause you to forget who you are, forget your purpose, but allow God to use who you are to build upon and create a new identity in who you are. So getting back to Ellie, I'm really grateful that he put himself out. I'm so proud of him that he put himself out there and that he was willing to be vulnerable and be on that stage. And the one thing that he realized was he's not used to singing in front of people. So now we're going to take that flaw and now we're going to hone in on it. Now we're going to make sure he's more comfortable singing in front of people. We're going to see if he can join the worship team and really start utilizing his voice the way God may have intended for him, It's not just by mistake that he has such a talented voice. It's not just by mistake that he has a good ear, that he has great pitch. So he can sing, but now it's time to become comfortable singing in front of people. And a lot of times that's just the pivot that we need. No, I'm not going to quit rapping. I'm not going to quit playing the drums. But sometimes a pivot is necessary, you know? And when you feel like you master something and things start to get stale or boring, or you feel like you start to just hit this plateau, maybe there is something that you need to do to go to the next level in your life. Maybe it is doing a new craft or learning a new instrument or trying a different genre. So what's your confession for today? Have you ever forgot who you were? Have you ever took an L so bad that it caused you to lose focus on what your goal was? And if so, are you going to continue to allow those losses to determine who your identity is? Or are you going to learn from every loss and grow? Like the great Ileana once said, the Lord can use your circumstances, but he can't use your complacency. Are you going to be complacent? Or are you going to create a new circumstance for yourself? You decide. Yeah, this is my confessional. This is my confessional. This is my confessional. This is my confessional. This is my confessional.